Hey guys, in this video I'll be continuing with the Python video tutorials. We'll be moving on to, we'll be continuing with lists. In Python, we'll be moving on to list slicing. So list slicing selects a range of elements from a sequence. So we've seen how some indexing allows you to select a specific element in a sequence. Sometimes you want to select more than one element from a sequence. In that case, you can basically write expressions that select subsections of a sequence known as slices. So I believe a slice is a unique thing in Python compared to other languages. So it's pretty much just like a sub index. Yeah, pretty much like a sub index. Like sub index methods, stuff similar to that. So a slice is a span of items that are taken from a sequence. When you take a slice from a list, you get a span of elements from within the list. Basically, we'll do an example here. But think of a slice like a slice of pizza, a slice of pie, or like a slice of cake or something. You're taking a piece out of something, like a whole. You're taking a smaller piece out of something larger, pretty much. But I think it's possible to take the whole slice as well. So there's a few concepts we have to do. So this part's a little tricky. Some of them are you just have to memorize it. It uses the shift semicolon operator, whatever that is. So here I'll delete all this stuff on the screen. So if we just have list underscore, so we can just actually just have list, like list 1. Actually, so this is just the notation. So really, it's like a list. We're gonna slice from the start to the end, like that. That's how the notation works. So start is the index of the first element in the slice, and end is the index, basically marking the end of the slice, or basically signaling that it's the end. So the first parameter, start, as we had here, so if we have like list start, so we have the start and end. So it's obviously going to start the slice from the start index to the end. The trick is, does it start at 0? Does it start at this index, or before the index, or after the index? Same idea with the end. Is it to the end, before the end, or after the end? That's the thing, the trick in Python. That problem comes across different areas. Sometimes it's before, sometimes it's after, sometimes it's, yeah, so sometimes it is the element, so it just kind of depends. So we'll go over basically what happens. So if we have, basically a slice returns a list containing a copy of the elements from start up to, but not including end. So you'll just have to memorize it. So for example, suppose we create the following list. So if we have like days list, points to, so we have Sunday, we're gonna have strings here, so Sunday, oops, did I spell that right? No, Sunday, the next. So obviously we'll just add all the days of the week. So we'll just continue. Sorry, my camera icon's blocking that last one, I can't see it. So I'll just move that down. Alright, so we have days list points to, and then we have different strings in here: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So we have obviously 7 different strings. Now we can slice the list. So we can say basically the following statement uses a slicing expression to get the elements from indexes 2 up to but not including 5. So once again, the slicing expression that we're going to use here. So if we have like half week, or like part week, whatever. Just go with half week. Points to we just take days list, square brackets, and then we say 2 to 5. So we use the shift semicolon operator. So what happens is, if we print this, just straight up, like just a print without a loop, so just like this. Half week, not half week, so just half week. So print half week, we'll just print it out. So if we have, so again we have index 2 to 5. So 0, 1, 2. So it starts at the start index. So it includes the start index. And I believe it's n minus 1. So let's see, 1. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it goes by indexes. So index 0 is Sunday, Monday 1, Tuesday 2, Wednesday 3, Thursday 4, Friday 5. So in this case it takes n minus 1, so it takes 5, so index 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So n minus 1 would give us Thursday. In this case we have index 2, 0, 1, 2, which starts at Tuesday. It includes Tuesday, as you can see, and goes to n minus 5. So we could just say that this is index to n minus 5. We could say that it includes index, includes the first index. So hopefully that makes sense. There's some variations of slicing. I believe there is. But I can remember what I read from a while ago. So if we have so you can use, so let's see, where were we? So we have, okay, so we've gone over, basically we've gone over how to slice the index. So now let's see what else we have. So just to summarize, we created the list. Actually, no, sorry, I have another example here for you guys. So if we have, so we can delete all this. If we have the list like 0, so just another int list, so we'll just go int list like that, points to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or just 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, just 5 elements. So if we just want to print the list first, and then now we can actually just print the slice. So we can print the list, and then we can just print the slice. So we can go print, we can print a slice of the list, so we can say we want to print, we want to access int list of list index 1, so it includes 1 to index 3 minus 1. Alright, so we can print both the lists. So initially we have our int list printed out, as you can see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we have, then we want to print int list of list index 1, so starting at index 1, which is 1. And continue to slice, so print the rest of the list in the slice to index 3 minus 1. So 0, 1, 2, 3. In this case, we're going to print out index 3 minus 1, so it's going to get, it's going to start at index 1, so 0 is not included, so we have 1 and 2 printed. So hopefully that makes sense. That's probably going to be a test question if you're taking a university Python class. Yeah, it probably definitely will be a question. Professors usually want to test those things if you remember what index it starts at, what index it goes up to. In some cases, in different parts of, for example, Python, that changes a lot, so they usually want to test you on that, just to see if you remember. I'd probably test that too if I had students. I'd see if they remember what index it actually was. So just moving on, we created the list. Then we have the, so we assigned it to an int list variable that's storing the whole list at that memory location. Then we just printed out the list, and we printed out a slice of the list. So just moving on from that. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So there's some, you can basically, there's some tricks to slicing. So just to continue, just to continue summarizing, we have that in list for, where were we? Sorry, apologize. So we printed, just to summarize again what we have here. So in line 1, we created the list, int list, and assigned it to the int list variable. In line 2, we passed int list as an argument to the print function. The print function printed out the list, of course, and then in the next line we sent a slice in list of list index 1, 2, 3 as an argument to the print function. In that case, we printed out a slice of the list. If you leave out the start index in a slicing expression, so here we go. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because there's some tricks that you can use with slicing. So if you leave out the start index in a slicing expression, Python uses 0 as the starting index. So that's again something you'll have to memorize, probably something you'll get tested on. The different variations of slicing. If you are, again, if you're learning this for school, if you're just learning on your own, well, I guess you won't get tested on it, but you may use it in the future. Maybe you want to get accredited for Python later on, you might get tested on it later on, so just remember it. So if you leave out the start index in a slicing expression, Python uses 0 as the starting index. So we can just do another example. So we can take int list again and point it to some values. I don't think I needed to delete that, but that's okay. So again, we have an int list. And we can print out the list again. So now we can just print a slice of the list without the starting index. So we can just print int list of list index. So you have to include the shift semicolon, and then we could say we want to go to to index 3 minus 1. So here we use index 0 as the start of the list, and then to index 3 minus 1. So now we can just print, actually sorry, we already printed it, so now we can just save it and run it. So in our list we have our initial list, of course, and then we print int list shift semicolon 3, so that starts at 0, so it automatically starts at 0, the 0th index. So we go 0, 1, 2, 3, minus 1, so we'll get, the list will print 0, 1, 2. Alright, so now, so just a summary of that. So the line that prints out the slice of the list, basically because that it starts, the starting index was omitted, the list contains, or the slice of the list contains the elements from index 0 up to 3 minus 1. Excuse me. So another variation that we can have is oppositely, we can leave out the end index in a slicing expression. So if you leave out the end index in a slicing expression, Python uses the length of the list as the end index. So that might be a little bit tricky to understand. I don't think this definition is very good. So if we just have, so I believe it just basically just takes the end of the list in that case. So what we can have is we can just do another example. We can keep these lines here and just change this. I'll have to change the comment too. So if we print int list of list index 2, you still have to put the shift semicolon, and then there's no index after. So basically we'll print this. So we're starting at 0, 1, 2. So we'll include 2, and it'll probably just print the remainder of the list. Yeah, so it pretty much just printed the remainder of the list here. So if we print int list of 2, so index 2 shift semicolon, then basically we're starting at 0, 1, 2, so we're going to take the starting index as it is. We're gonna take that in the slice. Because Python takes the first index, it includes it in the slice as we learned so far. So if we omit the final, if we omit the end index, then basically it just prints the rest of the list. So the definition that I have here is that if you leave out the end index in a slicing expression, Python uses the length of the list as the end index. Okay, so length, I think by length they mean like the actual len, like the actual length. Probably derived from len, which is, so in this case the length of this list is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So just remember, length is different than index. Length starts at 1. So that's pretty common. That's pretty much common across all programming languages. And in arrays, generally, the starting index is 0. Well, pretty much it always is. And length is 5 in this case, which starts at 1. So the length of int list is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the definition of this is that, so when we omit, so if we omit the end index, Python uses the length of the list as the end. Therefore, the list prints, or the list takes length minus 1 as the end index. Because length in this case is 0, length in this case is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 elements, right? 5 elements in this list. Length of 5. In our definition, we said when we omit the end index, Python uses the length of the list as the end index. Therefore, the list takes this whole length minus 1 as the end index. So if length is 5, then end index is thus 4. So it prints out, so if we just take 2 as a start index, we omit the end index, then the list prints out 2, 3, 4. So hopefully that helps. Alright, so what else do we have here? I think we can omit everything as well, so we'll just go over that. Just to summarize this, notice that the line basically that has int list of index 2 shift semicolon as an argument. In that case, because the ending index was omitted, the slice contains the elements from index 2 through the end of the list. If you leave out both the start and the end index in a slicing expression, you get a copy of the entire list. So this was probably a good test question as well. So if we leave out both, okay, yes, I've already said that. So if we have, if we just print out, so let me take all these definitions out. And take this out. So we have our list, and we want to print int list of shift semicolon. That's pretty much a very unique thing to Python. So in this case, it looks like snake eyes, right? So if we have I think, did we say that it prints the entire list? I believe. Oh, I changed my keyboard somehow again. English, Canada, US. Okay, maybe that should be fine. So if we have prints the entire list, then it should just print the entire list. So we'll Control S, save that, run it. So there we go. There you guys go. We have the whole list here. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Prints the whole list. Then if we call print int list of list index shift semicolon, it's going to print the entire list. In that case, from, can I add to this definition? So it prints the entire list from 0, from index 0 to length -1. So that should be all. So we might have some more examples here. The slicing examples that we've seen so far get slices of consecutive elements from lists. Slicing expressions can also have a step value. Okay, so this is like the range function. You can basically have a step value in the list to increment at different indexes in some kind of pattern. So this can cause elements to be skipped in the list. The following example shows a slicing expression with a step value. So let's create a longer list here. I'll just redo it. So we'll have int list points to. We'll just go up to 9, 0 to 9 here. So then we'll print int list. So now we can print with a step. Sorry, we can print a slice increment. So we can say we want to print int list of starting index 1, ending index 8, I believe. Actually, we can go 9. How many indexes do we? Let's just go with 9. How many do we have in here? Okay, let's just go with 8 then. So we'll go 1 to 8. Step of, I think it's the step is the third part, so it's step by 2. Excuse me, my throat's getting a bit dry. That's what happens when you talk for a long time. You get a little bit, especially when I make videos sometimes. Need some water. Alright, so if we have, so if we go index 0, 1, so let's just print it out to show you guys. So if we have, so let's print the entire list, then print with the step. Did I give you guys a definition already? I did not, so let's just see what we have here. So basically we're starting at index 1, of course. So 0, 1, we're starting at index 1, right? So then we're going index 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, sorry, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, minus 1, because the end index is the index minus 1, I believe. And then our step is 2. So we said we're starting at 1, ending at 7. Starting at 1, ending at 7. Well, the value 7. Well, index 8 minus 1. We're starting at 1. So in this case, when we step, it includes the first index. Then it adds 2, skips 2, prints out 3. Skips 4, prints out 5. Whoops. Skips 6, prints out 7. Excuse me. So if I have a formal definition here for you guys, so if we have in the slicing expression the third number inside the square brackets is the step value. So I think this is exactly the same as the range function, so at least they have a common similarity, so you don't have to remember different indexes, parameters, index parameters. So if we have, so basically the third index inside the square bracket is a step value. A step value of 2 is used. Causes the slice to contain every second element from the specified range in the list. I think finally we'll just have one more example for slicing just to finish it off. I know it's a lot of things to remember, kind of. There's about 4 or 5 different variations, so if we have, so you can also use negative numbers as indexes in slicing expressions to reference positions relative to the end of the list. So we've gone over negative indexes already. I believe that's unique to Python, I think. I don't think you can do that in Java and C, just from the tutorials that we have here. I don't think I've even tried it, to be honest. So then, I might be wrong though, so it might be possible. I don't think I've ever done any examples of that. It wasn't taught in my books. Excuse me. So we can also use, so let's just do the negative index example. So basically Python, as we've done before in lists, we've gone over the negative index example. So Python adds a negative index to the list. Python adds a negative index to the length of a list to get the position referenced by that index. So the definition might be a little not the greatest definition, so let's just do a example. Excuse me, and I assume that as long as it's in the list bounds, that you could probably put them anywhere in here. So you could use a negative here, here, here. You probably wouldn't want to use it at the start. Actually, maybe you can. It's probably possible to do it. Excuse me. So if we just have the same index values here in our list. So if we print the list, and then now we choose a negative slice, for example, -5. So in this case, as you can see, we're omitting the ending index again. So we'll have to refer to those rules. So in this case, we're probably subtracting 5 from the starts. So just a note, invalid indexes do not cause slicing expressions to raise an exception we'll go over that in a sec, so let's just print this out to just see what we get. So we have so initially we print out the whole list. Then we're saying, okay, well, we want to print an int, so we want to print out the list of list index -5. So then we're going to say, okay, we want -5 to be the starting index. So what happens is you take 5 from the start. So this just happens to be 5. I'll probably change them then. I'll just put some random numbers in here. So I've filled the list with random numbers. Excuse me. Apologize. So we have the whole list here. So if we print the list again, so how many indexes do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the length of this list is 10. Now if we print the whole list, we get the whole list, obviously. So the whole list was printed. Now if we want to start at index -5, we're going to have to, so we add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from the end. So it doesn't start at 0 at the end, I believe. So we take 5 from the right. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from the right. That gives us the starting of 24. And of course, if we omit the end of the list, it will just print the rest of the list. So if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minus 5, so if we go back 5 from the end of the list, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, that's our starting index. As you can see, we print out 24 here. Then if we go to shift semicolon to the end of the rest of the list, that's going to print out 24, 62, 23, 62, and 16. So hopefully that makes sense. You'll probably have to trial and error it for the rest. I'll probably just skip that. We could probably put an ending index here. We could play around with it. As long as it's in the bounds, we could maybe even go for a step index. So you guys can do that yourselves. We've probably covered a lot here. Just play with it. If you're not sure about that, just trial and error. It's the best thing to do. See what works, see what doesn't. So just moving forward, the note that I had was that invalid indexes do not cause slicing expressions to raise an exception or throw an exception. For example, if the end index specifies a position beyond the end of the list, Python will use the length of the list instead. Additionally, if the start index specifies a position before the beginning of the list, Python will use 0 instead. If the start index is greater than the end index, the slicing expression will return an empty list. So we might just have to do an example of that. Excuse me. I should put a cup of water here next time. So if we have the first rule that we had, So if the end index specifies a position beyond the end of the list, so if we say, so if we go to like 0 to 50, whatever number, some number greater than the length of the list, then we said Python will use the length of the list instead. So if we just print that out, we should get the exact same list because we said 0 to 50. So end index was greater than list length, thus then length was used for end index. Now if the start index specifies a position before the beginning of the list, Python will use 0 instead. So if we go like -100 to 50, we'll probably just get the whole list. Yeah, so we got the whole list. Throw an index 5 there, we should get index 5 minus 1. So index 5 minus 1 is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so 24 is index 5, so that index minus 1 will give us a value of 89. In that case we have -100 to 89. You definitely will get tested on this, almost 100%, if you learn this at least. These are some good trick questions to put on an exam. So now I think, so do we have a definition for this? In this case, start index was less than 0, thus zero will be used. 0 index will be used. So then moving on, now if we have if the start index is greater than the end index, we'll return an empty list. So if start index is greater than the end index, the slicing expression will return an empty list. So if we have, if the start index is greater than the end index, I believe it's just a general end index, because if we go like 100 to 5, nope, empty. Okay, so I think that in that case we mean the exact end index. So in that case, if we just go, so yeah, so let's just start with the index. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it should print out 9. 10 values, right? Length 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it should print out 10 minus 1. So this case. Okay, yeah, so I think that's actually what we said. So I apologize if I confuse anyone there. So basically, once again, if the start index is greater than the end index, I guess in this case any end index, not the exact end index of the list, then an empty list will be printed. think that's what we have for a definition. If the start index is greater than the end index, the slicing expression will return an empty list. Yeah, so that's correct, I think. Yeah, so that's correct. So if we have just 5 here, again, we'll just print an empty list. So there you go, there's our empty list. So that will include list slicing. Slightly longer tutorial in Python, almost an hour. There was a lot of topics to cover. So hopefully you guys liked the video. If you guys liked the video, you can subscribe to the channel if you like for more programming and investing tutorials, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.